Hi, it's John Carousel again, sharing with you another amazing moment at the beach. And today I want to talk about Matthew 5:5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Now, I don't know about you, but that verse has always kind of confounded me a little bit. Partly because I don't want to believe it, right? Partly because I never really took the time to fully understand it. And a while back, I was thinking about what does that actually mean, and why would Jesus say that? And how can I apply it to who I am today, and how I can bring it to bear in my life for my own good and for the benefit of other people and so on. So, like I kind of sometimes do, like I figured, okay, let's say it's true. Like, assume it's true. How can I understand it in a way that makes sense if it's true? And so I started to break it down linguistically, right? Like, let's look at the words. So the first thing I did was, what is meek? What does it mean to be meek? Who the heck are the meek? And, I thought about meek, and I thought about meekness, and I couldn't sort of divorce myself from the notion that meekness meant weakness. It meant cowering. It meant somehow like not strong. But I don't think that's what Jesus meant. And so I kind of went in a different direction. I said, if I don't understand who the meek are, let me try to understand who the meek aren't. Who is not meek? And I don't know how I came to this, but I kind of got the sense that the opposite of the meek are the arrogant. And I subsequently did a little more homework, which I probably should have done to begin with. And it turns out that the word meek is often translated from the Greek as gentle or soft or humble or powerless. And I thought about the arrogant, and I thought, who are the arrogant? And the arrogant are the powerful, right? When you have power, you have the luxury of being arrogant, right? And so it makes sense that the opposite of the meek are the arrogant and the powerful. And then I thought a little bit more about the phrase, and I felt into, the earth, right? The earth is the creation that we get to occupy. And that was pretty straightforward. And then I thought about the word inherit. And what is an inheritance? An inheritance is something that you get when somebody else dies. That's when you get the inheritance. And that also made sense, because if you think about who is holding the earth right now, it's definitely not the meek. It's the arrogant and the powerful. It's those who are asserting their will successfully, not necessarily productively, but successfully on the world. And the way that will is being asserted on the world is not sustainable. And this is where it gets a little bit painful, but also kind of a call to action. An inheritance is what happens when we get something after somebody else has passed. But we don't get what they have now. We get what they leave us with after they're done with it. So the meek will inherit what's left. And that can be a pretty grim notion, because the arrogant really don't have particularly good history of tending to this garden very well. So what do we do about that? Well, it seems to me like the smart thing to do is to pull our energy away from that which is arrogant, to pull our energy away from attitudes towards the creation and towards one another that are very strongly ego-driven, that are very strongly driven by a sense of, I know what's right and I will impress that into the fabric of reality of other people's experiences. In other words, coercing the world to take the form that you want it to take, and coercing others to participate in it. Now that's a big difference from cultivating an experience and sharing your ideas for an experience of how we should be embracing the world. And so, I get the sense that the difference between the meek and the arrogant is that the arrogant coerce and impress and demand that the world take a certain shape, and that the meek cultivate, cooperate, and share. And so there's two benefits to stepping away from the arrogant process, from the process of being among the arrogant. The first is that they have less energy. That state of being has less energy, so it will die sooner. If we don't participate in the system that is unsustainable, then there's less of us attempting to push it along, and so it's going to die sooner. And the fewer of us that are there in that pool, the smaller the number is, the sooner it'll pass away. The other benefit is that the sooner we stop being arrogant in the creation, the more beautiful it'll be when we finally inherit it as the meek. If you know what I mean. Like, the less we participate in the arrogant, unsustainable despoiling of the creation, the more beautiful the inheritance will be. So, for me, I'm not saying I know how to be meek, especially in the context of a social and economic system that makes it difficult to be meek. But I think there is real value in trying to learn the discipline of being meek and relinquishing the notion that my arrogant, egoic will should take precedence in the creation. Oh, blessed are the meek. Might be nice to get to know what that feels like. Might be nice to participate in the meekness movement, what it means to be, how it feels to be humble and respectful of the power that exists in the creation that's outside of myself.